Okay. Hi. Do you go by Josh or Joshua?
I go by either, or actually JB from time to time can also work.
Okay.
But nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too. I got a kick out of your bio because it's the first time that I've ever seen opera and real estate together on the same page. So I want to get into that one right away. So you were
Sure.
you were or are an opera singer?
Yes. Yes. I was fortunate to learn opera kind of as a teenager out of, really as a passion and love first of listening to opera and old opera recordings and scratchy, old singers and fell in love with it as a teenager. And then I've kept trying to escape from opera over the course of my career. And I kept getting drawn back at various phases and love it and managed to find a way to make it part of my life. And it's informed my worldview and how I do business and also develop buildings is also in many ways informed by my experience and passion for opera.
How does one even get into opera? Is there I mean, it's because I'm a musician as well, but I was a rock and roll guy and then singer songwriter. I mean, in that sort of genre. Opera is a whole different place for me. I like opera, I've listened to it, but how does one even start with that? Are there schools to go to for opera singing, or how do you do it?
I'll tell you how it happened for me. I was waiting for the M10 bus in New York City, and I think I was 15 or 16. I was after school, and I had gotten hooked on classical music. I have an uncle who's a music aficionado, and had gotten me some CDs as a gift. And I got into basically we were waiting for this bus, and one of those drizzly days, and the bus is never coming. Now it comes a lot more often. It used to you used to go and look for it, and it would never come. So I saw there was a woman there waiting with me who had a kid and a stroller, and I figured, you know what? Let's see if we just share a cab, and we're going down the same direction. So I got into this taxi, and the woman there was, we got to talking, and she mentioned that she was going to an opera lesson. And did I like classical music or opera? I said, sure. I thought it was really interesting, and so she said in that cab ride, you know what? Maybe this is kismet. Maybe this is meant to be. Why don't you come with me, and come up to this opera lesson? So I said, New York City, what could go wrong? I'm going with a complete stranger into their apartment, or what turned out to be a music teacher's apartment that was literally on my block. And so I went up and I met this incredible old Armenian teacher who was a kind of a unique soul and incredibly dedicated to opera. He was going to be a baseball player, but then he ended up getting into opera and falling in love with it and teaching it. And so that's how I went to study with this man and met with him every week for a number of years and really learned kind of this arcane world of music and bel canto, which is how to make every single note beautiful. And it was mind blowing. And especially as a teenager, when you're looking for a way to express yourself, an emotional language, and how to spread your wings, opera is incredibly dramatic and expressive. So I was really hooked.
Opera is very powerful. In fact, several times that I've listened to recordings of some opera, I could feel tears mounting up in my eyes, and that doesn't happen too often with pop music for me. It has
It gets under your skin.
it gets under
It
your
has a way of
skin.
getting
Yes,
welling up inside somehow.
yes, it does. From there, so you pursued it as a career?
Well, actually, I went to college. I studied social studies. I did operas at night when I was in school for fun. So a bunch of us got into the dining hall and put together a production. We would move all the chairs to one side, put up a stage, and with volunteer orchestra, and we did some productions of Mozart and Offenbach and Puccini. And so I didn't go to conservatory. I kind of had to learn it on my own, but in a sense, I got the most amazing experience because there we were as 20 years old trying to put together, great masterpieces of Western civilization in the dining hall at night. And so I got hooked on that. And then when I graduated, I didn't really know. I was kind of scared. I didn't know if this could be a real professional path. I didn't know if I had what it takes to do it. So I went to work. The people that came looking for jobs, I went to work on Wall Street in investment banking, and I thought I would give that as the biggest possible try I could. So I went to work in that like crazy for 2-3 years, and after that I thought maybe I'd have a career that I knew I could fall back on and really do something. So why don't I give this thing a try for a little bit? And then I ended up getting dragged in and really enjoying the life of opera for a few years.
So you were a DIY opera singer? I think that's hysterical.
In a sense, yes, because that is true. It's yes, but I had incredible teachers.
Okay.
But you just had to find them. You just had to find them, and then also learn from old recordings. But when you hear the kind of emotion and passion and interpretations that some of these old singers did, it really does get under your skin. And it's opera captures something that is so hard to find. It captures some of those emotions that you can't even put into words.
Yeah.
And to me, that was so meaningful that I had to find a way to do it. So I taught a lot of it myself, and I learned from some incredible people.
So did you go all the way back to like Caruso and start listening to some of his early recordings? Yeah.
Yes, Caruso. I would listen to Beniamino Gigli. I'd go to music libraries trying to find music in my key, which was always impossible. As a baritone, a lot of it was written for tenors. But when I found something great and incredibly rare and unbelievable, there's just some incredible recordings that'll blow your mind. If you listen to Jussi Björling and Robert Merrill singing the Pearl Fishers duet, for example, one of the most stunning pieces of music that's just exquisite, and even nobody today is doing it out there like that. Or you listen to Franco Corelli, or some of the great singers of the past. Going back to Caruso, you want to do it the way they did. You want to put the same passion. You want it to be moving and beautiful and life affirming. So
you always emulate your heroes, and then hopefully your own style kind of will emerge from it. But I think that's where all musicians start.
Yes.
Even for me,
Absolutely.
It was listening to the Beatles and Elton John and Billy Joel. And those were the guys that I wanted to be, because I'm a piano player. You put all that information into the blender in your head, and hopefully your own style kind of emerges at some point.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's a creative kind of maelstrom.
Yeah.
And you get in there and start doing it, and then you see what comes to you.
So your background there is you're obviously at your office at your company, and your company is called Aria, which I think is fitting. Tell me what you guys do there. I see a couple of people walking around wearing shorts. It looks very much like Google. What do you guys do exactly?
We develop mostly apartment buildings around the United States, and so we're kind of the impresario, if you will. We bring together the architects, the engineers, the land, the financing, and the vision and ideas, and we build or renovate apartments, residential real estate. Where we've worked in New York, Washington, Miami. More recently, we've been investing and developing in Charlotte and Nashville, and have expanded a little bit throughout the United States. But we try to put a kind of an artsy bohemian ethos of essentially how to enjoy life without spending $1 gazillion. And can you make the apartment meet that set of values, and it's more fun, more enjoyable, not over the top expensive, not too many frills, more a place to hang out together, a place to grill on the roof and watch the sunset. Smaller kitchen, but beautifully designed, and in locations where you can walk to food or coffee or the arts. So that's what Arya does.
I want to hit one of your talking points. We got just about time for that. And since we were on opera and all that, what La Boheme can teach us about chance and opportunity?
Sure.
Okay. Well, that's the answer for that.
Well, there's a scene in La Boheme where Rodolfo meets Mimi, whose candle has blown out, and she came to get her candle lit. They're kind of struggling artists living in the top floor of a walk-up, and she the flame is blown out, and then she drops her key when she's looking around, and basically, as they're looking around on the floor, sort of fumphering around trying to find this key, he finds it suddenly, but then he kind of pretends not to have found it. And then when he finally touches her hand by accident, or I guess with a little help, but accidentally on purpose, he sings the famous Aria, Che geli la manina, and he gets to know her and they fall in love. So after they're reminiscing and she's not doing so great, and he remembers that, basically he has a famous line where he says, aiutavo il destino, I help destiny. And that's my metaphor for how, in a sense, in real estate, in developing buildings, you have to be your own catalyst. You have to transform the neighborhood with your building. You have to transform the streetscape with your property. And in a sense, when you're investing in business and real estate, sometimes you just sit and wait. You can wait for the area to get better, for other people to build hotels or museums or a new subway in your direction. And then you look like a genius because of other people's work. More often in real estate, you have to be your own catalyst, and you have to give destiny a little nudge. And so that's what I think one can take away from the story of La Boheme.
Well, I'm certainly a lot more, for lack of a better term, turned on by your approach to real estate development as opposed to like Levittown. I mean, Levittown was smack 'em up, smack 'em up, slap 'em up, right? Where you're sort of taking this from a very artistic bohemian side and developing real estate for people that have a certain connection, I suppose, to feng shui, if you want to use that term, right?
Sure. Well, I think what Levittown figured out was a price point. They made it affordable for the middle class. And I think the question is, how can you do that today, especially in a place like New York City, where it's just so unaffordable? And we've found some clues of how to do this. But I think it takes a lot more finesse and sort of an artistry to bring in a product that is attainable by the broad middle class, which is what I feel like we're really missing in many of the great cities of the United States. It's almost impossible. So that's one of the areas that I've devoted a lot of time and thinking to try to how do we, whether from a public policy standpoint or also from a business and creative development standpoint, how do we build for the middle again? And maybe with a little more touch of finesse, not costing more, just something that fits in and spiritually fits into the neighborhood.
Well, right. I like that idea better. I mean, certainly Levittown was a great concept for the time, but it always reminded me of Assembly Line. And there just really wasn't that creative thing. All the houses looked the same. The lots were exactly the same. It was cookie cutter. Where
right.
When you have people of all different backgrounds and different aspirations in their life, putting them all in the exact same apartment probably doesn't work. You need different styles, you need different things, even different window layouts for some people.
Absolutely. You need a variety. It's actually it's something that I like to call housing biodiversity. You need you need a variety of different kinds of housing because not every it's not one size fits all, and it's not the same 1950s family that
Right.
lives in every apartment. One of the problems is that the zoning and code is designed around, let's say, the 1950s kind of prototypical family. But today you have kids growing up with grandparents. You have couples, you have a ton of single people because people aren't getting married at the same age that once they were. You have people that would love to live in a more communal lifestyle with what's called co-living, with where you share kitchens and amenities with other people. You need more of 100 years ago in New York, we had rooming houses and boarding houses and apartment hotels, and people lived in all these places, and tenements and luxury apartments. Right now, we've created more of a monoculture where the policy is you can only basically build luxury apartments. And I think that for that reason, it becomes prohibitively expensive, and you don't get the creativity in matching people's lifestyles with what you build.
We do have to kind of wrap this up. We've run a bit over, but your book is called Real Estate, A Love Story. I think we pretty much captured the theme of the book, if I'm not mistaken, just based
Sure.
on the opera connection and the Bohemian connection to real estate development. Yeah, is that essentially the book?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, the book traverses a couple of different landscapes. It could be, if you want to learn about real estate investing, there's a big chunk on that. There's a significant plea for old world business values. There's how to put creativity in development. And there's also, since the pandemic, a number of ideas of how to rebuild and how to bring back our great cities in light of what one would hope is a new way of looking at things, to build a more just, a more beautiful, a more prosperous, a more widely shared and inspiring city. So those are all in there. There's a lot of meat in there, and it's today's the official publication date, so we're live.
Oh, super. Well, great. Well, Josh, thanks so much. Do you have a website that you want to give out?
Sure. Well, one could check out realestatealovestory.com. That's where the business, that's where the book is discussed, and more of a bio. And if you want to check out Arya Living or Arya Development Group, those are the business divisions that we've created that have the same ethos as we've been discussing, but in building, development, and operations.
Okay, great. Well, thanks again for coming on. It was nice talking to you. And I think this was the first time on this show I've talked about opera, so I'm